global news update on top accolade news. The headlines: Kemi Badenoch slams government's AI proposal. Republicans pass multi-trillion-dollar spending bill. China expresses concerns over U.S. military aid to Taiwan. Ukraine reaches mineral deal with U.S. In politics, Kemi Badenoch slams government's AI proposal. Kemi Badenoch, the conservative leader, has criticized the government's stance on artificial intelligence, accusing it of prioritizing tech firms over the UK's creative industries. Badenoch expressed concern that proposal allowing tech companies to use copyrighted materials without compensating creators will harm artists and publishers. This follows widespread opposition from figures who argue the plan could undermine the UK's creative sector. While acknowledging AI's potential, Badenoch stressed the importance of protecting intellectual property rights, urging Labour to reconsider its approach to avoid stifling innovation. Shifting focus to economy, Republicans pass multi-trillion-dollar spending bill. In a close vote, the U.S. House of Representatives passed a multi-trillion-dollar government spending bill, advancing President Donald Trump's 2025 agenda. The 217 to 215 vote was a major victory for House Speaker Mike Johnson, despite last-minute concerns over support within his party. The bill includes $4.5 trillion in tax cuts, funded partially by spending cuts and an increase in government debt. It also allocates more than $100 billion to immigration enforcement and military spending. While Republicans rallied behind the bill, all Democrats opposed it, criticizing the tax cuts for the wealthy. The bill now heads to the Senate, where it will face more scrutiny before it can reach the president's desk. Moving to international relations, China expresses concerns over U.S. military aid to Taiwan. China has expressed serious concerns following report that the Trump administration released $5.3 billion in previously frozen foreign aid, including $870 million in military assistance to Taiwan. The Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson stated that the U.S. military aid violates the One China principle and infringes upon China's sovereignty and security. He condemned the move, accusing the U.S. of sending a dangerous signal to Taiwan's independent supporters. He urged the U.S. to halt its military support for Taiwan, warning that China will closely monitor the situation to protect its national sovereignty and territorial integrity. Still in international relations, Ukraine reaches mineral deal with U.S. Ukraine has agreed to terms for a significant minerals deal with the United States, marking a major step in the country's wartime economy. According to senior officials, the deal includes access to Ukraine's vast natural resources, including critical minerals like lithium and titanium. While the initial U.S. demands for a stake in potential revenue have been dropped, the agreement still involves Ukraine contributing 50% of future proceeds for state-owned resources to a jointly owned fund aimed at rebuilding the country's infrastructure. Despite tension between President Zelensky and President Trump over the war and U.S. aid, the deal is seen as a strategic move to strengthen ties and secure future protection for Ukraine. The U.S. hopes to recover its investments, while Ukraine sees the deal as a vital step toward long-term recovery and stability. You are watching the global news updates on Top Accolade News. Do stay with us. Still to come. Thanks for staying with us. In energy, Chile declares state of emergency after massive blackouts. Chile's President Gabriel Boric declared a state of emergency on Tuesday after a massive blackout left 19 million people without power. The outage, which affected 8 million homes, was attributed to a fault in the transmission system in the North Chico region. Boric condemned private companies for the disruption, calling it outrageous and vowed to hold them accountable. The government imposed a curfew from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. to ensure public safety as effort to restore the power continues. Amid the blackout, public services, including subways, were evacuated, and emergency measures such as water supply distributions were set up to assist those affected. Moving to crime. Alabama businessman sentenced to 5 years for violating U.S. sanctions to Iran. A 71-year-old businessman from Alabama has been sentenced to 5 years in federal prison for violating U.S. sanctions against Iran. He was found guilty of illegally exporting industrial equipment to Iran, supporting the country's oil, gas, and petrochemical industries. He used deceptive practices, including third-party transshipment companies in Turkey and the UAE, to bypass U.S. authorities. The sentencing comes just after the U.S. imposed new sanctions targeting Iranian oil vessels. In response, Iran's foreign ministry reiterated that each country has the right to determine its own trade policies. Moving to entertainment. CHARLI XCX named Songwriter of the Year at the BRIT Award. Pop sensation CHARLI XCX has been named Songwriter of the Year at the BRIT Award, marking a major milestone in her 12-year career. With 5 nominations in total, she's the frontrunner at this year's ceremony, set to take place on Saturday. The English singer's groundbreaking album, BRIT, has earned success with hits like Guess featuring Billie Eilish. CHARLI, who previously criticized the Brits for overlooking female artists, is now nominated for multiple categories, including Best Artist and Album of the Year. Following a Grammy win earlier this year, CHARLI is primed for another memorable night. Now in sports. Australian radio host leaves network after comments on women's football team. Australian radio presenter Marty Sheffield has parted with Triple M following backlash over comments he made about the Matildas, the country's women's football team. During his show on Monday, Sheffield referred to the team as Year 10 girls and made disparaging remarks about their performances, sparking widespread outrage. Despite an apology, the sports governing body and public figures, including Minister for Sport Annika Wells, condemned his comments as disrespectful and harmful. In a statement, Sheffield expressed regret for undermining the team's achievements, and his departure from the station was confirmed shortly after. Football Australia also condemned the remarks, calling for a more respectful conversation surrounding women's sports. That concludes our global news updates for today. Stay tuned for more global news and developments. Thanks for joining us. I am Rumi Okocha. Connect and engage with us on all our social media handles. Do have a wonderful day.